Welcome to our channel. Today we'll be talking about marriage, communication, the 5 love languages. Have you heard about them? The 5 love languages are the things that we do in our marriage. Some people like affirmation, some people like quality time, some people like being given gifts. But some people just go into marriage or relationship without finding out what their partner's love language is. And if you do not know what the language of your partner is, you will just be doing guesswork, and that can cause a lot of problem in your marriage or relationship. So I advise that before you go into any relationship with anybody, try to know their love language. Try to know the love language you speak, so that you can communicate to the person, because the love language is actually some of the love languages are non-verbal, some are verbal. So if you tell someone, wow, you look good, because there are people who actually want people that look good. There are people that do not like people that would talk to them harshly. So you try to learn all of these things. Communication in marriage is what blood is to our body. Without blood, if you are losing blood, you are going to die. So if you cannot communicate with your spouse, then that relationship is headed for the rocks. So it's usually good when something happens in your relationship to call the person and have an honest conversation. I'm not saying you should have a conversation where you begin to throw tantrums. How do you have an effective conversation, an effective communication? You call your partner, you sit the person down, you say, please, I want us to talk. You sit down, you are not holding your phone, you're not reading a book, you're not tapping your leg. You concentrate so that you can hear what the person is saying and what the person is not saying. Honest conversations are conversations where you are not speaking in anger, you are not speaking in resentment. You are listening to the person to understand what the person is saying and what the person is not saying, and that will help you. And please, when your partner is talking, keep quiet. Don't say anything. Don't begin to sit in positions that suggest that you are being rude, or you are not listening to the person. Just sit down, relax, listen to what the person is saying, and when you finish talking, and who is talking, ensure you don't use languages that will upset the other person. Sit down, listen to what the person is saying. When the person is done talking, thank the person for talking, and then respond. And in responding, do not use very harsh language or a tone that can aggravate the other person. So what you do is, when the person tells you, okay, I didn't like the way you spoke to me the other day, or I didn't like the way you dropped your suit on the chair, and don't use words like, you keep doing it, you keep dropping your suit, you keep scattering the house, you are always doing, you see that word, you keep doing, you are always, that is how the other day. No, this is what has happened. Deal with it as it has happened. And the reason a lot of you always say this thing, you are always, that is how the other day, it's because you allow things to pile up. Before talking about them, you don't talk about them immediately they happen. You make them to pile up before you talk about them, and before then resentment has built up, and you are already offended, you are already sad. So please do not allow unresolved issues in your marriage or relationship. Learn to talk about them. It is when you are able to tell the other person that the person will be able to know what you like and what you do not like. So do not harbor, do not keep it in your mind until when something else happens, you trigger. I'm telling you, if you are always keeping quiet when things happen, you are a bomb on its way to explode. And when you explode, it's always very dangerous. You might not be able to manage the situation. So in marriage, when you have communication breakdown, you are going to definitely have a difficult marriage. So it's good to talk about it. It's not the time for you to call your mother or your brother or your sister or anybody outside your husband or your wife to talk about it, because by the time you do that, if the person does not have your both interests at heart, the person is going to scatter everything for you. So if you really want that relationship, if you want that marriage, the best thing for you to do is to call the person involved, which is your partner. Sit the person down and tell the person, this is what you did the other day, and I didn't like the way you said it, I didn't like the way you spoke to me, I think that was rude. Or the other day you called me a name I didn't like, I think that was not nice and I'm not comfortable with that. Then you who is being who was someone, what you do is you say, oh, I'm sorry, I actually did not know that what I did will offend you. In fact, it wasn't my intention to do that, or it wasn't my intention to say what I said, and I didn't do it to hurt you in any way. But if that has, made you angry, I am sorry. I'm sorry about that. Am I forgiven? And until the person said, not for you to say, if that thing I did to you offended you, it's okay now, it's okay, stop talking, it's okay. A lot of people do that, and a lot of people cannot say they are sorry. You cannot honestly say you are sorry, and that's very bad. It's good to always say sorry. Sorry is, you see, thank you is a magic word. Thank you is a magic word. Sorry is a magic word. You cannot say, the people who tell me they cannot say they are sorry, like seriously, and I don't blame some of you. Some of you do not have anybody to teach you how to say sorry growing up, but now that you're an adult, I'm sure you know that saying sorry can solve a problem and bring down a mountain that was supposed to explode or become so big. You can actually say you're sorry and everything will be fine. So please learn to say you're sorry in your relationship. Learn to communicate the best way. Communication is actually a very broad topic, and you see why I narrowed it down to marriage and relationship. It's because I know that a lot of couples, a lot of friends in relationship that try to, even in courtship, some of you keep quiet on courtship. You don't want to tell the man or the woman what they have done that is wrong, so you say maybe because you don't want them to get angry, and then you keep quiet and get married to the person. What are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? That is going to bring problem in your marriage. So the best thing to do is you communicate, talk to this person. This is the person you are going to marry, remember. So don't keep quiet and begin to stomach things. And please, do not marry somebody who do not have an authority figure. Do not. When I say do not, I mean do not. Do not marry someone who do not have an authority figure. People will tell you, anybody you meet, man or woman, that tells you I fear nobody, my dear, run. Because when the rubber meets the road, you need somebody you can call who that person respects to be able to sort these things out. If you meet any woman or man that tells you I fear nobody, my dear, run. You don't need such a person, because marriage is supposed to be enjoyed, not endured. So please, there are things I know that come up in marriage that you might endure, which is like maybe you married a man or a woman and they lost their job. That one is something that is natural. It's something that can happen to anyone. You stick to that person, stay by. But if you marry a nasty partner, I tell you for free, and a lot of you, because there was no communication while you were courting, you have a problem now. You tell him, my husband doesn't sleep with me. And I know that some people, this loss of appetite for sex is as a result of doing it too much while you were cutting. Some is because the man do not have money. There are people that if they are broke, they lose appetite for sex. So if your husband is not having sex with you, it's not always that the man is having an affair. Find out from him what the challenges are. I know that some of you are not open to yourselves to the point where you cannot even talk about, some of you cannot talk about those things. Talk about in your relationship before you get married. Please talk about sex. What's your expectation? Talk about it. Talk about romance. What's your expectation? Talk about a lot of things, like your fears. Talk about your expectations. Talk about your fantasies. Talk about everything, so that if you are not compatible, some people say if they don't sleep with a man or a woman, they will not know if they are compatible. No, that's not how to check compatibility. And I will do a vlog where we'll talk about things you shouldn't do while you are cutting and things you should do while you are cutting. Okay, so we're just not going into those things, but I want to tell you that compatibility starts from courtship, not in the marriage, so that you will know when to either go in or not. And in my church, we do premarital counseling, and the premarital helps you to either decide to marry the man or not. But some people will just rush and go and do premarital, and go and do introduction before finishing premarital. Okay, what if you are not compatible and it doesn't end up working? You have done introduction, so you are putting your families in problem, in shame. So the best thing, and then when the church refuses to wed you, you get offended and maybe leave the church, or you write so many things about the church. No, the reason the church is doing is for your good, in case the guy doesn't end up marrying you, so that you will not face any shame. So they expect that you do premarital counseling. After that, they do a presentation for you showing that you are okay and fit to get married. And when they do the presentation, you can now go ahead to do your introduction. You don't need to rush. See, marriage is not something you should rush. I've seen a lot of people who rushed into marriage, and today they are out of the marriage. So it's good to do it the right way. The man, see, any man that cannot wait for you to do the right thing, my dear, is not your husband. Any woman that cannot wait for you to do the right thing is not your wife. So please, marriage is not a joke. Marriage is not a joke. Marriage is not a joke. I repeat it, marriage is not a joke. And I pray that as I keep sending all of these tips to you, you understand that we have a lot. Marriage is just a very broad topic because it's an institution that you can never graduate from. So we keep learning every day, and the decision you enter into marriage with determines how your marriage will turn out. The decision you both enter that marriage with, not just one person, the decision you both make to enter that marriage will determine how your marriage will be, because marriage is like an empty box. Whatever you fill it with from day one is how your marriage is going to be. So I expect that after watching this video, if you're in a relationship, sit out, have an honest conversation. Do not spend all your courtship years, your dating years having sex. That is even very wrong in itself. It will not make you to comprehend a lot of things. It will not make you to think straight. It will not make you to call a spade. When things happen, you begin to cover up because you want to get married. My dear, it is better to marry late than marrying early and jumping out early. So we will talk more about this marriage of a thing, but I felt that communication was good, and I knew that in communication other things in marriage was going to enter. So I just decided to flow as it came. So thank you very much, and continue to subscribe and share our channel to other people who might benefit from it. Thank you, and have a lovely day. Bye.